everyone. So I'm coming to you here from the Royal Regattas. I think that's how, Regantris. So I had to look at the sign over here. So I'm coming to you from the Royal Regattas here in Kuta, Bali, Indonesia. So yes, we have made it to Indonesia. This is kind of the second leg of our trip. And man, I'll tell you what, guys, I love it here. It has been nice, but I'll get to that and kind of my first impressions of Bali here later on in the video. Anyway, I was just going to talk to you first about kind of what happened on the last leg of our cruise. We only had a couple of days left as of the last video I put out. And that very day, you know, I was telling you how we had to, or we'd gotten invited to a party at one of the big suites, and it absolutely was. It was one of the mega suites, and I'm not sure if it's considered a rock star suite. I think it is, because it actually had one room that had like guitars hanging on the wall, and these were actually guitars that you could pull off the wall, plug into amps that they had, and they could. And you could play them if you wanted to, if you can play. I don't know if you would consider it a rock star suite, but it may very well be. So anyway, this Australian couple that we had stood in line with for quite some time whenever we were embarking on the cruise, and we were waiting through all the technical difficulties that they had, he actually searched us down, found us, invited us to a get together in their cabin. And so me and Christine went up there, and my goodness, this suite is something else. It's one of only 2 cabins, and they're the 2 largest cabins on the ship. They had one of them. And guys, I'm just gonna kind of show you guys video or what little bit we had. We didn't want to get too intrusive into their home for that week, you know, so we got what video we could. But this thing really consisted of like several rooms. Like there was like the main living area, and that's kind of where we hung out the most, and it had a bar, and it had unlimited drinks, and they had good drinks there. Also, as part of their package, part of their fare, they could order all these hors d'oeuvres, and man, we had everything from barbecue shrimp to you name it there. It was just absolutely incredible, the spread they had. But they also had a separate bedroom, like a master bedroom of sorts, and that was separate from that room, from the main living room, and then a separate bathroom suite where they actually had a big jacuzzi tub, or at least a big bathtub in there with a big closet. Just incredible. And then, of course, you had this other room here that had like the guitars hanging on the wall that I was telling you about. So really cool deal. It also had a half bath. So this was a 1.5 bath suite. And so it had like a little, you know, half bath for your guests. That's what we call it in the States anyway. And then on top of that, you had this humongous balcony. And this balcony had tables. It had actually a table where you could you could get on the table and dance on the table if you wanted. It had its own jacuzzi, so you could sit out there in the hot tub on your own deck, your own private jacuzzi. And then it also had a sunbed on this thing. Just incredible. I mean, this thing was almost like a wraparound kind of balcony, and it was just unbelievable. Never seen anything like this. And so I want to thank my new Australian friends for inviting us along and to enjoy your party. And guys, we had some very good conversation. One of the things that's never failed on the cruise was whenever you run into an Australian, they always want, and they find out that I'm an American, they always want to know about, and they want to discuss gun control and, you know, the safety of the United States and everything with the lack of gun control. And it really gets into some very colorful debate, you know, because they do think a lot differently than Americans do, you know. We have our whole Constitution, and that's not really an inherent right for them. So they have a whole different way of thinking about things. But the good thing is that we all sat there with a drink in our hands, and we had these very in-depth discussions on very hot political topics, and nobody got into a fight. Nobody got into any harsh words. We just had a lively discussion, lively debate, and it went really good. And at the end of the evening, we all shook hands, smiled, took big pictures, and went on our way. And we actually ran into one of the couples later on in the evening and sat and talked to them for quite some time. So anyway, guys, we missed most of the Scarlet Night festivities because we kind of got involved with this whole, having a good time in the suite, and it was a lot of fun. We didn't miss out on anything, and just had a really good time. On the last day, on Friday of the cruise, we got up, had a really good breakfast, and really we just kind of chilled out the rest of the night, rest of the day, and rested up because we knew that the next couple of days we were going to have a really long travel time. So we wanted to be prepared for that and be rested. I try not to have a lot of negativity, but I'm just going to tell it like it is. Our trip from Australia to Bali, Indonesia went really bad. It was one of the worst flying experiences that I've ever had in my life. And a lot of it was, yes, we did fly on Jetstar, which is a budget airline. But guys, we've flown on affordable airlines here in Southeast Asia many a time. Cebu Pacific is considered an affordable airline. We've had nothing but good experiences with Cebu Pacific. And I understand that some of you guys may not have, but our personal experiences with Cebu Pacific has been really good. Have we had some flights that's changed times and things like that? Sure we have, but we've never been bumped off a flight, and we've never had a flight be late to miss our connecting flight. Well, we booked on Jetstar, which is one of Australia's budget airlines, and my gosh, guys, when they say budget airline, it really is. They nickel and dime you for every freaking stinking thing on there. Well, the first thing that happened is while we were on our cruise, we got bumped. We had booked a direct flight that went from Melbourne, Australia to Bali, Indonesia, and it was supposed to leave early in the day. And so we could go on the long flight, we could have plenty of time to get checked into our hotel and kind of chill out. Well, they bumped us off our flight, didn't even get us an option, and the only thing they offered us was some vouchers that we will probably never use because I'm going to be very reluctant to ever fly on this airline. It's going to have to be something very simple. And so anyway, what they did is they bumped us off our international flight, and they made us one domestic leg that went from Melbourne to Sydney, and then the second leg went from Sydney to Bali. The problem arose, one of the first problems that we had was when we were getting not checked in, but we were actually about to board. Everybody's standing in line, and they bring out these scales and they start weighing our carry-on luggage. Well, guys, this ain't our first rodeo even with an affordable airline, right? We've carried our backpacks and stuff, and we've had a couple of bags that weighed 7 kilos a piece, right? On Cebu Pacific. Never been a problem before. Well, the way Jetstar does it, your combined weight of all your carry-on bags has to be 7 kilos. Well, there was no way we were going to do this. My backpack alone, with all the batteries that you have to put in your carry-on luggage, I cannot check it in. I can't put it in the checked luggage because they're lithium batteries. I had to have my backpack. There was no way I was going to do this. So I had prepared a little bag, in case they needed me to pull them out. But the combined weight had to be 7 kilos to them. Well, I explained to them this. I'm like, look guys, you guys are the ones that bumped me from an international flight to a domestic flight. And now you're telling me that now my carry-on luggage is too heavy for a domestic flight, when you are the ones that bumped me off an international flight. So you guys need to fix it. And he goes, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. He goes, instead of charging you guys $65 a piece for your extra luggage weight, we will just charge you one person for $65. And I said, no. I said, that's unacceptable. And I said, can I have your name and everything, because I am going to file a major complaint with the airline about how we've been treated on this whole deal. And he was like, sir, there's no reason to file a complaint. I'm only doing my job. And I said, I understand you're just doing your job and you can stand on your company policy, but I'm still filing a complaint because of the way I'm being treated right now. And finally he was just like, just go. And I was like, okay. So we got on. So anyway, we didn't have to pay the extra, but it was an embarrassing hassle because they ended up bumping us off our international flight. And so really the flight to Sydney was uneventful. We get there, we did have a long layover in Sydney that we had to wait for, but no big deal really, right? So anyway, we get on our second leg, and this is an international flight from Sydney to Bali, Indonesia. And I got to fly for the first time on a Boeing 787 Dreamliner, big old airplane, but again, it's a budget airline, and they had the seats just absolutely packed. Well guys, on our original booking, we had paid extra to have window seats, and we had also paid extra to have a meal, which was supposed to be lasagna on our flight. And so we get on the plane, and did we have window seats? No, we did not. We had to sit in the three middle seats. And of course, I get sat next to this teenage Australian kid, and this kid had ants in his pants, I'm telling you. I don't know, I hate to be too rough. Maybe he's got ADHD or he's on the autism spectrum, but this kid thought he was really, really smart. Like the way he talked to his own family and everything was very disrespectful. So I'm going to say no, he's just a spoiled brat, Australian Western kid is all he was. This kid literally could not stay seated. He bumped into me the entire trip, so I got absolutely no rest. Nobody on our row could have gotten any rest because he was up and down, and every time he would sit down, he wouldn't just sit down, he would land. He would fall into the seat, shake the whole row of seats, and it was just a mess. And then he was just always talking at the top of his lungs, and he was always very disrespectful to the flight crew and everything else. So horrible experience getting sat next to him. But if they would have sat me in the seat that I had paid for, all would have been well, right? I didn't get that. Well, then they started coming around to deliver the food, and they passed us over. And so finally I flagged one of the stewardess down and one of the flight attendants down, and I said, hey, we're supposed to have lasagna for our meal. And she was like, well, I'm showing that you don't have a meal paid for this. And I said, ma'am, let me explain to you what happened. And then she just cuts me off and walks away in mid-sentence. She doesn't even listen to anything I have to say. And I'm being polite. I haven't gotten mad yet, but that her walking away from me in mid-sentence really made me mad. That's just disrespectful. You just don't do that. Well, the only thing that made up for it was when she did come back around, she did have us our lasagna, and we were able to eat. So we did get the food that we had paid for. So anyway, it was a long flight. We arrived in Bali probably around just before midnight. Really the procedure going through customs in Indonesia went really smoothly. We had already done the online check, like the pre-check where you declare all your stuff. So we'd already had that done and had our QR code. But the way you do it for Americans anyway, and probably Australians too, as soon as you get off the plane, you'll go to a little cashier kiosk. There's a whole bunch of them, and they have plenty of them. And you pay for your little tea. It's basically a tax. Now, if Christine would have been flying on a Philippine passport, she wouldn't have had to pay this fee. But Americans and Australians, I believe, have to. And it comes down to like 35 US dollars for for the tax to get in. So you pay your tax, they give you a receipt, and then you go through customs, and typical custom stuff, nothing big. Take your picture, go on. And then you go to another section, and if you've already gotten your QR code for your declarations and all that good stuff, then you just walk through, they check your QR code, they scan it, and you're done. From that point, you go through a bunch of different kiosks where you can get your SIM cards for your phones and all that. And that's one thing that we do, guys. I know a lot of y'all do things differently, and to each their own. One thing we like to do is go ahead and get us a local SIM card, put in our phones, and it makes it real easy to load your phone and this, that, and the other. And there may be easier ways to do it, like electronic SIM cards and things like that. I'm not really interested in all that. I just like doing that, and I usually have the worker at the little SIM card counter register our SIM cards with the government on the spot, and we got everything done. It makes it real simple, and that's what we did. And then we were able to go and get us some cash from an ATM, some Indonesian money, which I strongly recommend doing. Don't ever bring your American dollars or Australian dollars. Exchange it, and that way you don't get ripped off in the conversion. One thing that we have noticed here in Bali, Indonesia, is that it is very electronic, where you can actually get things done. You can actually use a credit card if you need to in many places. You can also use cash too. So we've kind of done it both ways. We eventually went and had a Western Union thing done and brought, moved over some cash, and so we've been kind of going the cash way. That's the way we prefer to do business in the Philippines. So it's just something we're accustomed to. Now I'll tell you this, after being in Australia for a week or a little over a week and being back in that whole electronics game, I hated it. It makes you nervous, especially being a foreigner in Australia, that your credit card's even going to work, because I'm using an American credit card. And there was a instance in, it was Sydney, I believe. Yeah, it was the Sydney airport, where we went to go get some Gatorades. We'd been traveling, we were both dehydrated, and so I found some sugar-free Gatorade at this little store in the airport. And so they had a couple of different lanes where you could self-check out, and then there was a lane where there was actually a person working. Well, the person working lane was already busy with some customers, and so I was like, heck, let's just self-check out and tap our credit card and we're done. Well, as soon as we scanned our Gatorade, it had to be approved by a actual person, by an employee. For whatever reason, in Australia, Gatorade is one of these things, I guess like alcohol, or I don't know why, but it's got to be approved by an employee. So now you have this lady who has to leave the line of people that she is tending to in her line, come over and deal with this automated checkout, right? Electronic checkout, and approve our purchases of Gatorade, and then help us through that process. And then while she's messing with us, those customers at her line are waiting. It makes absolutely no sense to me. Now, it'd be okay if they would hire like another person to man and be there for these bad purchases of Gatorade, to approve those, and while the person at the checkout line could take care of things. But they don't do that, right? It's all about trying to save money on employee costs, but in actuality, they don't. And it makes the shopping experience for their customers horrible. I'll tell you what, the cash system is so much more simple, so much easier. You just go and you hand somebody cash, and then they count back your change, and you're done. And it's so enjoyable. You can actually say thank you to them. They say thank you to you for doing business with them. And it's so much more personable. That's the way I like it. So it's really nice to be back in a cash system like we're used to in the Philippines. All right, guys, so anyway, we've been in Kuta area of Bali for a few days now, and I'm just going to give you some of my first initial thoughts of it. Number one, I absolutely love it. As soon as you get off the plane and then you take your first walk down the street here in Indonesia, and you're smelling the incense coming off the little sacrifices, and you're seeing the little sacrifices that they put out in front of their businesses out on the sidewalk, and it's the businesses or homes or what have you. They put these little trays made of leaves or whatever, and they're just little sacrifices, but a lot of times they'll have incense burning, and it smells so good. And I know I'm sitting here on this busy street, and you do hear the traffic go by, but really, you know, it's very peaceful here, and you just have this atmosphere of relaxation everywhere you go. The Indonesian people are very, very nice, very service oriented. We've been treated like kings here as being customers in this hotel, customers in massages, whatever. I'll get to that here in a minute. But it's just this overall vibe here, and I hate that word, this vibration. Okay, I love the atmosphere here, and it's just very relaxed. I tell you what, guys, whenever I was in Australia, my anxiety level just went through the roof in Australia because I was back in the Western world. And so it's really nice to be back in, you know, this kind of part of the world. Number one, the tropics. I'm so happy to be back in the tropics. Bali, Indonesia is about on the same line of latitude south of the equator as we are north of the equator in our part of the Philippines. So the climate is very similar, tropics, very warm here, and I absolutely love it. I know one thing, I don't particularly care for the cold, and I wasn't prepared for it, but when we go back to Oklahoma later on in 2024, I'm going to make sure I got plenty of long sleeve shirts and appropriate clothing for the weather, right? All right, guys, one of the big things that we noticed right away was the food here in Bali in Indonesia is absolutely wonderful. It reminds me kind of a mix between like Thai food and Indian food, maybe with a little bit of Filipino thrown in there. It's got a little bit of spice to it, which I enjoy spice, but man, it's just got some very good flavors. We actually had street food today, and oh my God, I had barbecue chicken and, you know, charcoal chicken, and it was freaking incredible. Very good, very well cooked, just falling off the bone cooked. The flavors were just amazing on it. Also, the food here is very, very reasonable. It's cheap. It really is. Even at some of the restaurants around here, the food is very affordable. We really like and appreciate that. It makes our stay here even more enjoyable. Now, when it comes down to things like booze, let's say you want to come here and you want to party it up, drink it up, which is fine. I mean, we partake also just a little bit, but I will tell you, booze here in Bali, Indonesia is double the cost of what it is in the Philippines. Anywhere you go here, whether it's whiskey, beer, even their local beer, what is it, bentong or something like that, or betong, is even more expensive. It's like $2 US a beer just at any of these restaurants or out on the beach or anything like that. But you can buy a whole liter of Red Horse in the Philippines for what, about $1 or something like that. It's very reasonable. So yeah, you can party down in the Philippines if that's your thing, a lot cheaper than you can here in Bali, Indonesia. That's for dang sure. Guys, another thing is hotel costs here are way less expensive than what you're going to find in the Philippines. And I hate to do this comparison with the Philippines, but this is one of the areas where the Philippines kind of lacks, you know, some of their counterparts here in Southeast Asia. You know, I showed you the video of when we were in Butuan. That room was like $40 US per night, and you don't get much with it. Here we're staying, now this is an older hotel. We're staying, like I said, at the Royal Regantres. It's off the main strip, but it's close enough to the main strip that you can walk there in less than 5 minutes. The rooms are a little dated, but if you look at them and you know what you're looking at, like all the countertops, the floors, everything is all marble. Like this place was really a nice place in its prime. And so what they've done, we found out, is there's a new owner after COVID of this place, and they've actually building a whole nother wing on this and adding a lot of different things and kind of renovating it, and they're going to modernize it. But the service you get at this hotel is really good. I mean, the staff is second to none, always smiling, always there to help and everything. An excellent breakfast in the morning. It's a buffet style breakfast, but it's really good. The rooms are clean, roomy, got a king size bed. Guys, I did not add video of our room because they hadn't come to clean it today, and Christine didn't want me putting a lot of that in this video, but I will. I promise you, I'll get you some video of our room, just so you can see the difference between a $40 US room in the Philippines, in Butuan, Philippines. It's not even a tourist area, compared to a $30 room here in Bali, which is a tourist area. You just get so much more bang for your buck here. And I think that's something that, you know, Filipinos really need to take note of as far as the business owners, and maybe it could help their tourism if they do. I'm not trying to dog the Philippines, because they have their good things too that are a little bit better than what they do here in Bali, Indonesia, right? So it's a little bit of give and take. I'm just kind of noting the differences. But guys, like I said, the service that you get here is impeccable. I know in the Philippines it can be a little bit lacking compared to Western standards, but here in Bali it is up to Western standards when it comes down to your service. It's really good. They know what they're doing. Shoot, I had one of the best massages I've ever had in my life here, and I went for the hour-and-a-half long Balinese massage. I think it was like around $10 US for an hour and a half. And this young man who gave me a massage, the first thing he did was he popped my back, and he cracked my spine better than any chiropractor in Oklahoma ever has. I mean, a lot of the chiropractors couldn't ever do it for me. He absolutely did. And then I went on and I had such a really good, I was hurting by the time we got done, because he was giving me such a good deep tissue type massage. But I'm going back for another one next week. I'll guarantee you that one. It was so relaxing and felt so good. Something I definitely needed after all those long hours of traveling. And guys, I know it's a rough life, right? My long hours of traveling. Sorry, I know that's gonna make a lot of people mad and jealous. So anyway, guys, I'm not gonna really go into a lot of details about what we're doing here. We just kind of been, you know, doing a little bit of shopping for some things that we can't get in the Philippines, and we could get a little bit better price here in Bali than we could in like Australia and stuff like that. Just mainly some clothing items and stuff like that. Nothing big, but we've been taking care of some of that, and got me a haircut today. Young man did an excellent job on my haircut. Not that Kong always gives me the best haircut, and that's my brother-in-law in the Philippines. But I needed a haircut, so I'm sorry to betray you, Kong. But yeah, I mean, this young man, I think you would have been okay with it. He's not quite as good as you. I'm just telling you. But anyway, guys, we're gonna be looking at doing some more fun things. We went out last night and had a really good time. Ate some really good food. I actually went for some nachos. I hadn't had those anywhere, and these were some really good nachos. And then listened to a live band there. They did a really good job. And then we went walking down kind of the main strip in the main area, and just kind of went exploring last night. And my goodness, there's a lot of places to go, a lot of good venues that have some good live music, and we're going to go again tonight and just go sit down and listen to some bands and people watch and just chill out and relax, you know, after a good meal, of course. We even saw Bubba Gump shrimp. They even got Bubba Gump shrimp here in Bali, believe it or not. So I'm not going to eat there, but I'm just saying I could if I wanted. So anyway, guys, just a really good experience here. I did see one tour that I may have to try out maybe later this week or next week, where I'm going to eat breakfast with an orangutan with Clyde. May have to go right turn, Clyde. And those of you guys who are Clint Eastwood fans and my generation know what I'm talking about on that. So anyway, guys, I hope y'all are having a wonderful day. I'll just leave you guys with a little bit of video of what we've been doing here, and just some random videos, and put it to a little bit of music. So anyway, guys, enjoy. Hope you enjoy the video. Hope you enjoy these little talks and just letting you know what we're doing. Anyway, I hope everybody is on the verge of having a Merry Christmas and then eventually a Happy New Year. I know we are. We're spending our Christmas here in Bali and our New Year. So looking forward to that. Should be a really good blowout here in Bali, Indonesia for New Year's for sure.
Can't hide how I feel about you. Nothing can take that away. 'Cause you make the world so beautiful, so beautiful. I was restless and stranded on my own. Time seems endless when nothing's going on. But you came round and turned it upside down. You saved me when I was helpless, but now that darkness gone. 'Cause you know the world is beautiful, so beautiful. 'Cause you know the world is beautiful, so beautiful. And I just can't hide